Assalamu alaikum everyone, welcome back to a brand new episode of the MSA podcast. My name is Leen and I'm going to be your host for the day. Our guest today is a very proud Sri Lankan who never misses a chance to showcase the beauty of her country and her own people. On her journey of doing so, she told us about what makes her home country so special and what place it holds in her heart. Zainab Ifthikar also expresses her love for her country through her outstanding community service initiatives, all aimed towards helping other people and making a difference. Zainab's value of community service and love for sharing awareness all stem from her own house, as she told us about the non-governmental organization that her and her mother started from scratch. This was not all, because Zainab is also an author of 2 books that she told us more about. So without further ado, this is Zainab. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum
How are
salam.
you, Zainab?
Good, alhamdulillah. How are you doing?
Alhamdulillah, good. Welcome to the podcast. We're very, very excited to have you.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here, actually.
So, you were telling me about internship. How's that going?
It's mixed feelings, actually. So it depends on where you're posted, which rotations as well. But I like the autonomy of being, a doctor, finally, or a semi-doctor.
Does it feel like you're a doctor now?
Sort of. When we interact with the patient, they expect to hear answers. And in that situation, when we're able to provide them that comfort, that's the satisfaction we kind of get now on this side of internship, as opposed to in clerkship years where we're kind of lost.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so you would say the dynamic is kind of different from clerkship years.
Definitely. There's more autonomy,
Mm-hmm.
especially like when we go to the government hospitals, the residents there, how they trust us with our work, with our clinical examination skills. So that level of trust to be put on your shoulders was something interesting, interesting position to be in.
That's nice. It's a nice jump, you go from certain things to like, you're getting closer to like actually being a doctor. So it's nice that you're getting all the exposure you need.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Yeah.
All right. So as I said, Zainab, we're very, very excited to have you today. And we have so much to ask you about. We want to know so much about you. So let's start lightly. You are from Sri Lanka, right?
Yes, that's right.
What's interesting is I only know 2 people from Sri Lanka, and now you're going to be the third.
Uh-huh.
So for those who don't know anything about it, what can you tell us about Sri Lanka?
So I'm so glad you asked this question, because whenever people ask me where I'm from or who I am, I start with I'm Zainab Ifthikar. I'm from Sri Lanka. That's how excited I am about Sri Lanka. So it's an island nation. It's also known as the Pearl of the Indian Ocean, or sometimes people call it the Land of the Lions. So Sri Lanka is basically, what do I say about Sri Lanka? It's something very near and dear to my heart. And I value it for a lot of reasons that I'd like to share, and I'd like our listeners to know about it as well.
I would love to listen, yeah.
One of the main things is that the hospitality of Sri Lankans. They're very approachable, very kind people. And the aura that they emanate itself is just so nice to be in. The other thing is that the resilience of the people. Sri Lanka, being a small island nation, like I said, has survived so much, including a civil war, including tsunami, a terrorist attack, the recent economic crisis, and they always bounce back. And I don't know why that should, why the reason is, but it could be because of the togetherness of the people, despite all the religious, differences that we have. It could be that they care for one another, and yeah, many more other reasons like that. So that's why I like Sri Lanka. That's a little bit about my country.
I really love your description of that. And so, Zainab, you're from your hometown is called Kandy, right?
Yes.
What can you tell us about Kandy in specific?
So Kandy is mostly a place where we go during our vacation. Both my parents are from Kandy. It's lush greenery wherever the eye can see. It's a hilly area as well. And in Kandy, the climate is very adaptable, as opposed to, where we live here. It's quite sunny and all that. Over there, it's a little bit more cooler. And something very special in Kandy, actually, that I'd like to share is something called the Kandy Esala Perahara. So Perahara is actually a Sinhalese or Buddhist festival where they have a parade of ornated elephants, and they carry this tooth relic of Buddha and parade it around the streets. So it's really beautiful to see around the time of August. People visit, tourists from all over the world. So that's a little bit about Kandy.
Yeah, I saw pictures of that. First of all, it's beautiful. The hometown is beautiful. So regarding what you just said about like the Buddhist festivals and all of that, it seems like there is a lot of like not only religious variation but cultural variation in such a small town.
Mm-hmm.
So how is it like living there?
So superficially, when people see, in recent times, we did have a little bit of political unrest, a bit of religious divide. But after that, after the recent economic crisis, people started to see the light in brotherhood over our small differences in religion. You would see people during Eid giving our traditional food to our Christian and Buddhist
Really?
friends, and likewise in their festivals, they would give us their traditional food. So despite of being such a small country, we have like 4 different religious sects. We have Buddhism, we have Christianity, Hinduism, and Islam. But still, people live side by side, their neighbors, their friends, their classmates in school, colleges. So there is an element of togetherness, and that's growing now with the new generation.
So would you say the culture amongst all of these different, religions and different backgrounds, is it similar across the whole sector? Or is it like kind of different?
Somewhat similar, I would say. Somewhat
similar.
Yeah.
And does everyone live in the same like areas, or is it kind of like separated?
More or less the same, same areas, especially in the cities like Kandy and Colombo. You would find them living side by side.
That's really interesting. I think a lot of the bravery and stuff that you mentioned about your people. I think when you live with such different backgrounds and cultures, and you all come together and just learn how to associate with each other, it just gives you like a different aspect on life. So I see where that's coming from for sure. So and you never actually lived there.
No, I've never lived there.
So you used to visit every summer.
Visit every year, correct.
So what do people do there? What's it like visiting and spending a summer in there with your family, friends? What was it like for you?
The highlight of my summer vacation would definitely be my family, where alhamdulillah, a very big family.
So, and they all live there?
They all live there. Not in the same house, but they all live there. I have a bit of family here as well. Just, to be, in the presence of their love and affection. And I think, you would relate to that when you go back home as well.
For sure. Yeah.
And to be bathed in all of that love and to, taste the different cuisines over there. That's a fun part.
How many different cuisines are there?
So each different, different religious sects, like I mentioned, they do have their own special dishes. So we do adopt one another's, cooking styles and stuff like that. So I love tasting food. It's more or less spicy food over there than, savory food than sweet food. So I enjoy,
That's
tasting
nice.
all
So
that
it's like a lot of different cultures, and to like incorporate it into one lecture in some way.
Yeah, correct.
That's really interesting. Yeah. So what would you say was your favorite memory from visiting your hometown?
Visiting my hometown. This is a hard one. There's so much. I think my favorite memory was visiting my father's university. So he went to the University of Peradeniya in Kandy, and it has I believe one of the largest landscapes for university, or the largest garden in a university, something like that in Southeast Asia. So it's a very beautiful place. And I loved, why I loved going there was because it reminded me of everything I have today. And the reason I say this is because Sri Lanka is one of the countries that provides free state education at the tertiary level as well, secondary and tertiary level, from primary, by the way. So my father was fortunate enough to receive, government funded scholarship to study engineering at University of Peradeniya. So I'm really grateful. And he always tells me that the life that I'm able to provide for you all today was because my country gave me this. So I'm very grateful for that. And being in the presence of that university and to take it all in where it all began was a surreal moment. So I think that was a very special moment.
When did you visit the university?
2016, I think. Yeah, 2016.
Not too long ago.
Yeah, not
kind
too
of
long
long,
ago.
but not too long ago. And so I also want to talk about the language you've been speaking. So what language do you guys speak in Sri Lanka? It's Tamil, right?
Yes, Tamil. Or we say Tamil in
Tamil.
the dialect. So we have 2 languages. We have Sinhala and we have Tamil. Usually Muslims speak Tamil and we speak Tamil. In my household, it was very important growing up speaking Tamil. Some people do, prefer not to teach their children in the fear they won't learn English. But in my family, it was a big no. They had to learn Tamil because it's our mother tongue and it ties down, to our roots. So it's a very special language again to me. I learned Tamil from my home and I also learned it from the movies. So yeah.
Would you say it was your first language?
It is. Thing is, I can speak in Tamil but not read and write, unfortunately. So I would say English is my first language and Tamil my second.
Do we have any schools here in the country that teach Tamil or that has a lot of people that speak the language, or?
Yeah, so Tamil is actually from South India. from Tamil Nadu. So people migrated and then brought the language to us. Locally, the Sri Lankan school does teach Tamil for their students.
Okay.
Yeah.
And your school wasn't Sri Lankan?
No. I went to the Bangladesh International School. So that's another interesting twist in my life.
Nice. Why so?
So when I was little, I skipped a grade. And at that time, there were seats available at Bangladesh International. It was a very good, thriving school, diverse, teacher population and all that. So my parents opted to put me there. And I studied all of my education, 12 years in Bangladesh school.
That's nice. I mean, if you think about it, you got a little bit of everything.
Yeah, that's true.
So what other language do you speak other than English and Tamil?
So because of school, I learned Bengali. So I can speak Bengali.
See, that's a benefit already.
Yeah. So, kemon ase for all the Bangla listeners here.
What does that mean?
How are you?
Okay.
And also, I know a little bit of Sinhala, not too fluent. I can speak Urdu because my mom studied in Pakistan. So I would just sit with her and listen when she was, talking to her patients and stuff. So I learned Urdu like that. Still working on trying to improve the languages that I know. What else? Arabic, but very basic, to the level of asking the patient a few questions.
You speak a lot of languages then. What would you say is the one that's been dominated?
Dominating definitely Tamil and English.
Tamil and English.
Tamil and English, yeah.
Nice. All right. So now that we covered a broad introduction about Zainab, now I want to go more into details. I think a lot of people, when they think about you, they see a lot of interests and a lot of different hobbies. Mashallah, you're known for that. So let's start with writing and journaling. You mentioned a lot about them, and I want to dive into why do you write first? Why did you pick writing as a hobby or an interest? Or I would like to know what your intake on that.
So that's a very good question, actually, because, we need to know where everything began, right?
Absolutely.
I would say it's definitely reading. A lot of my childhood was spent in read books to IELTS. And I would take the books, sit down and read them. And I began to wonder that if it's so beautiful reading other people's words and to explore someone's life, through someone else's shoes, so to speak, how wonderful it would be to write your own words. So that's where writing began. And initially, I would just write small proses, poems, short stories, and dribble on pieces of paper. And then slowly, writing just began to grow into something bigger. I wrote articles. I wrote essays, whether it was for school or for other purposes. I would keep a compilation of these articles in my cupboard. So I just enjoyed it. And that's somehow, how writing spiraled forward.
So when did you start reading at first? Like, when did you start taking reading as a very important part of your life?
I would say an early age, around the age of 7 or 8.
Oh, very early on.
7 or 8. I would read smaller books, obviously, Enid Blyton, those kind of books. And then slowly from there.
And so later on, what type of books would you read when you grew up a little bit? What was your main focus? Was it poetry? Just general?
I really loved reading dystopian novels.
Okay.
Because, I like the element of fiction in it, that it's completely not, it's far away from our stressful lives. So I really liked dystopian novels. From non-fiction, I like reading biographies. The recent one I read was Becoming by Michelle Obama.
Nice.
And it was really...
I heard a lot about that.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I haven't... Maybe I'll read it one day.
I really recommend it. Life-changing, really.
Nice. Okay. So basically, the love of writing stemmed from reading.
From reading, correct.
So how did your interest in journaling in specific came across or come upon?
So naturally, I'm a very expressive person. So I wanted to have a record of how I felt on a day-to-day basis and what thoughts were going through my mind. And mostly, I wanted a future self of mine to look back and see how I felt at an exact moment. And I'm a big sucker for memories and holding on to, small trinkets and all these things. So naturally, I thought, okay, I want to remember these moments. And in 2014, I think, I started journaling. And then in the middle, during my A-levels time, it kind of took a backseat and then came back again in med school. So I'm continuing journaling now.
So how often do you journal? Because this is like a deal breaker.
Yeah, I'm not very religiously journaling nowadays because of, board exams and stuff. Maybe at least 3 times a week I try to get it in.
That's a lot. That's considered really nice. See, journaling on daily basis or even weekly basis has always been one of my biggest goals because I agree with the idea that you said, it's really nice to go back and read something that you've written at a certain stage of your life.
True.
It's beautiful. So I tried journaling for too long, but honestly, I can't. So I just kept it as a whatever. I'll just journal whenever I want to write something. I was never able to like stay consistent with it. So I think that's really beautiful. And there are a lot of studies that actually say that people who journal on like daily basis or even like in a constant way have a lot of benefits when it comes to the psychological aspect of it. A lot of decreased levels of depression and anxiety. So would you say you've seen any of those benefits?
I've definitely seen a transformation in my life, especially my perspective on things. How 14-year-old Zainab used to think and how 23-year-old Zainab thinks. It's a huge contrast. My priorities have changed. How I deal with situations have changed. Me, as a person, I have changed a lot. So, yeah, I would say it definitely brings a positive mindset. You tend to grow a lot and you get to see that growth documented. Another thing that somebody recently actually shared with me was try to journal the positive things that happened in your day and only the positive things and not the negative things. There are a lot of negative things in my journal as well, third year especially. But slowly, when I tried to do that, I actually saw a change in my mindset. I started to see that one thing in my day, no matter how small it might be, to say Alhamdulillah for before I go to sleep. So yeah, I would say definitely it changes your mindset.
So would you say the urge to start journaling, was it for that aspect, or is it because you felt like you had things to express and on paper would be like a good idea?
The latter, the latter more than the former. I just wanted to express myself.
Nice.
And, interestingly, I also had a voice note journal. So you mentioned not having time, right, to write down.
Mm-hmm.
So on my phone, I used to make recordings of my day and just rant on it and then put a title for that and save it. So I've got, I think, like 30 somewhat recordings of a voice note journal as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
I never thought about it. But yeah, that's great. I really like that. Topic journaling, I think, is a very beautiful thing, and the fact that you're an expert at it, mashallah, now 3 times a week is a lot. That's great. So, so aside from journaling, by the way, will you journal about us today?
Of course, about today. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. So, aside from journaling, as I was saying, you write books, mashallah, and you currently have 2 books. Is that correct? So let's talk about the first one. First, when was it? Why? Tell us the story.
Okay, so this is going to be a long one, so brace yourselves.
Sure.
So my first book was released in 2015. It's called Poverty is Not Passivity. I wrote it after my 10th grade exams during the summer vacation. It was written in 30 days and it has 30,000 words. So, you might wonder why poverty is not passivity is such a peculiar topic and where that stemmed from. Basically, my mother, she is a dentist by profession, but also does a lot of community work. And she helps anyone and everyone from the Sri Lankan community. She inspired me from a very early age to think about others before we take for ourselves. So I kind of take after her this quality. I had a deep-rooted love for 3 things in my life, and I write about it in my book as well, which is writing, like I shared, philanthropy or community service, and the third thing was my motherland, Sri Lanka. And I didn't know what to do with these 3, amalgamation of these, these feelings. And that's when I thought I want to give a contribution to society, at the same time, jot down my love for my motherland and my love for philanthropy at the same time. So that's when Poverty is Not Passivity started to brew. I started, writing on a small piece of paper, then transforming it to a Word document, and then it just kept growing and kept growing. And I also, in the book, document the story of a young maid who had traveled outside Sri Lanka because she wanted to seek employment as a maid due to the, substandard living in at her place. And later she, fell into the traps of child labor. She came around the age of 16 out of her homeland. So that story was very close to my mother. She was visiting this particular maid when she was out of her home country and all those things. So I wanted to document that story and share what poverty can do to somebody. Because without the financial aspects, without the education aspect, those were the things that forced her into child labor. And at the end, she even lost her life. So I wanted people to know that story, but also take a leaf from that book saying, what can we do to change our communities? What is that contribution that we could do? And that was the mindset that I started Poverty is Not Passivity with. And the title of the book itself, Poverty is Not Passivity, is a bunch of a few words that tries to say that just because somebody is poor doesn't mean that they are passive, doesn't mean that they have to live like that for the rest of their life. They too have the power to come out of their situation. So that was the change that I wanted to instigate through the book.
And where is that book? Is it published now, or is it in the process?
So it's a self-published book. So if anybody wants to get a copy, they can let me know. And all donations all the money that comes from the book goes into my NGO, which I'll speak about maybe in a little bit.
Yes, of course. Tell us how to access the book for those who are interested to
So you
read
can
it.
either contact me, or you can go on our MEI Foundation's website, which is meifoundationsl.org, and you can find under books. The book is available over there.
So what about the second book?
So the second book is called Panacea is Possible. It was published in 2019. The first launch was actually at Al Faisal, launched by Dr. Akif, amongst faculty, amongst students. And two of my closest friends, Aisha and Hamna, they were the ones who were hosting the event. So they're very close to me, very special to me, and they were hosting the event as well. So a bit about the book. So the word panacea means a cure to all diseases. Now, I know it sounds very hypothetical, but where does the book come from? Basically, in Sri Lanka, in the North Central province, there was this issue of water contamination and CKD, chronic kidney disease, that was happening in that area because of fertilizer use by the farmers in their agricultural practices. So these fertilizers were being doused onto the field and then leached into the water and would end up in their drinking water. So as a result of that, many studies were done over a course of many years, and they found that it was because of this that they ended up with chronic kidney disease. When we got to know about this issue around 2016, I think, we went to visit these villages in their hometowns, and we also visited the hospital, the Anuradhapura Teaching Hospital, where the patients were admitted. I interviewed medical directors, doctors, spoke to patients and their families to get to the grassroots level of the issue. And then I thought, what could I do for these people? And the best thing that I could do was write about their predicament, to write about their story, to bring it outside of Sri Lanka so that people around the world could know about it. And that's how Panacea is Possible began. It's basically saying that a cure to any disease is possible. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but someday, and we just have to keep striving to reach that. So that is how Panacea is Possible happened.
Zainab, I think everyone from your country is definitely proud of you. I mean, having the opportunity to shed light on these topics and actually doing so, I think can be of great help, if not now, in the future. And so, yeah, continue doing what you're doing for sure.
Thank you so much.
What is really interesting, I noticed that there is like a common theme of everything you do and everything you say specifically about your country. I feel like you're very passionate about community service, and not only because of the books and everything you said, but also because you have an NGO, which we'll cover in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
So where would you say this whole interest or intrigueness, I would say, stemmed from?
Definitely my parents. So like I mentioned, my mother, she does a lot of social work and community service. If there is, for example, a maid in the community who is having some issues in the local Riyadh community, they would call my mother up and she would try to connect them to the embassy and try to help them be repatriated. Recently, even during the COVID-19 pandemic, my mom opened this hotline with her mobile number and advertised it to the entire community for people, especially domestic workers and the working class who were stuck, stranded at home. They don't have family here. And if they needed to speak to anybody or they wanted something, a necessity, they would call this hotline number and my mom would be answering the call on the other end. And she would answer this call day in, day out without sulking. And random people would be calling her at random times of the day, and she would still find some ways to help them out. Thankfully, yes, with the support of her friends and family, we were able to help a lot of these people. So this is just an analogy of where I get this from. Generally speaking, from in my household, we always think about what we could do for the person who comes after us. Like I always say, my parents taught me to reach for the stars, but to also take others with me. So I think that's where I get it from my parents.
That's beautiful. And so how much does it mean to you, and how much are you planning on carrying that through later on in life?
So being in a medical career, I think by default we have an element of community service as well.
Yes.
So I hope to carry it for as long as I can, as long as I'm able to.
Would you say you got into medicine because of similar reasons, or was it like just a different just interest that you had?
Community service was something definitely on my mind, but medicine stemmed from something very profound. I really was interested in biology during my high school years. It boggled my mind how the human body works. And I was very interested in studying cascade reactions and how that stuck in my memory. So that's how I probably ended up in medicine. One of my uncles, actually, who's a physician, he inspired me a lot. I knew somehow I'm going to end up in medical school because we come from, Asian Arabian families, engineering,
Yes.
medicine.
3 choices.
Law, right? The third one?
Lawyer.
Lawyer. But I started realizing my passion for it after I saw him. He's a great diagnostician. You throw a bunch of symptoms and signs at him, and he gives you the diagnosis. He gives you reassurance as well. And my family really looked up to him for a lot of things. So that's somewhere where I also started to fall in love with medicine.
Nice. I mean, if you think about it, medicine opens a lot of doors if you want to get into like that path, as we said, community service and so on. Did you ever think about anything, or are you just leaving it for the future?
We have done a couple of things with the foundation as well.
Yes.
So we did two or three healthcare awareness related events. One was an oral hygiene campaign done in Sri Lanka. Another one we did locally here, a health camp at a school where we did free glucose checks, blood pressure checks, and all that. So I wanted to obviously grow to something bigger in the future, a bigger health camp maybe in Sri Lanka in rural villages, provided, the NGO grows with, adequate funding as well. Hopefully, I want to have these
Inshallah.
annual health camps.
Inshallah, I'm pretty sure you will achieve a lot of beautiful things in the future. So since you mentioned your NGO, which is the non-governmental organization, right? Tell us about that.
So my NGO is called the MEI Foundation, which stands for Motivation, Encouragement, and Inspiration. And our main aim is to help underprivileged individuals and to raise healthcare-related awareness. It started in 2016, established in Kandy. My mom and I co-founded it. And alhamdulillah, it's been, I think, the 6th year we're going on now. We usually try to reach out to villages and, the village leaders, try to find out, anybody who is in need there, and whatever capacity we can provide them with, we try to provide that to them in the form of donations, whether it's not monetary donations, but in the form of food, grocery, clothing, or, electricity, something like this.
So first of all, why did you decide to get into that, I would say, sector in specific? So, and then I want more details on how everything actually works in the organization.
Sure. So basically, like I said, we do a lot of community service. My mom does a lot individually. We wanted to have a solid pathway where our work would stick and is permanent for years to come, so that we had like a streamlined work going on. That's where the idea of the NGO came about, and the process of establishing it itself was very tedious. They asked for a lot of paperwork, and in retrospect, I was 16 years old at that time, doing it with my mom. So it was very interesting to do a lot of paperwork at that time.
How long did it take to legitimize the whole thing?
It took about a year.
A year?
So you need to be functioning in community service at least 2 years prior to the establishment, and then a year of paperwork back and forth, and then finally, alhamdulillah, we established it. So the way it works is basically, so I'm the chairperson of the NGO. My mom is the general secretary. Most of the members in our NGO are either colleagues or somebody from the family. And the way we operate is through my parents' money. They fund it. Sometimes our family and friends as well, they pitch in too. So I'm really grateful for them as well. And through this funding, first of all, we try to identify groups of people who might need our assistance. So we do this through somebody called a Grama Niladari, which is basically the leader of that village or the supervisor. So we ask them for a list of beneficiaries or people who need help in that village. And then we will see if their need matches with the amount of funding we have. We write up a we write up an action plan for what we want to do, what could be the budget for this, and all these things, and we submit for approval. Once it's approved, we then go ahead, we dispatch our field workers from Sri Lanka. They go and locally visit them. and provide them what they need. And then we follow it up with the progress report, and that's basically how it works.
And the funds are completely from your parents?
Completely funded by my parents.
Mashallah.
So it's been a little bit difficult because, obviously with supporting my education and all, they were very kind enough to come forward to give that funding. So you can understand it would be sort of a limited funding. So we operate with limited funds, but we try to do the best that we can, even though, no matter how small scale the project is. And also colleagues of my mom, they also contribute a lot.
And have you ever considered raising funds from like the community around, or even different like people here from the same community or so on, or was that not really an idea?
So local fundraising, I don't think it's an option here. So that's probably one of the reasons why we didn't opt that route. But funding through my book, like if somebody wants to buy my book, it's available through me. So I provide it for them, and they can give, I don't have a price tag on it. So they can give whatever they would like for the foundation. And also from my, like I mentioned, my mom's friends and family, in and out, they provide, some donations for the NGO as well. So,
mashallah.
Yeah.
Mashallah. I mean, I do imagine it being a lot of like a heavy weight for sure.
Yeah.
Especially that you started. It's hard to kind of do something really good and then just suddenly stop. You're just gonna keep having the urge to continue and do more and more.
That's true.
So inshallah, you guys will, get ajr for all of that. Mashallah.
Thank you.
All right. So what's the future for your NGO?
So the future is definitely to continue doing what we do. And the next level, I would say, is to start up. We're doing this project currently known as RPSL, which is called Relief Package for Sri Lanka. It was started after the economic crisis. The main aim is to provide food or meals to underprivileged families affected by the economic crisis. So far, alhamdulillah, we touched about many villages, about easily 15, 20 families, providing them with very basic food like rice and lentils, something like this, the staple Sri Lankan food. I hope that the future in this year, at least the near future, that we're able to provide to more families and that we're expanding to more villages and towns in Sri Lanka. That's one of the aims.
So it sounds like a lot of work. Mashallah, it's definitely for a great cause, and I love everything you said. But it seems like a lot of work, especially for a medical student.
Yeah.
So how would you say you're managing between all of that? And how much time does it take out of your daily routine, let's say?
So the majority of time does go in documentation and identifying the individuals, because the field work, the in-person field work is usually done by people who are in Sri Lanka. So we, operate remotely. So my main role is the documentation process, like doing the action plan, documenting who the beneficiaries are, what is the need, and then documenting the progress report, and then, making all of that into, summarizing all of this information and then also putting it on our website, because we do have a website. And all of that does take a great deal of my time. I try to block out sometimes during the week to write these things down. My mom is also a huge source of support. She does a lot of work in the NGO as well. So definitely with her support, my family support, I've been able to manage somewhat.
And how many people work under NGO? Like
we're a very small NGO. We're about 10 people. And like I mentioned, I'm the chairperson. My mom's the general secretary. Yeah.
10 people. That's nice. All right. So as I was saying, I think what you've been doing is amazing. And the cause itself is what makes it really special. And apparently it's not only us that think it's great. A lot of people do. You got an award that I want to cover, which is it's an award that you got in the States. What was it?
So it's called the Rising Star Award, and it was given to me by an NGO based in Los Angeles, California. It's called Sri Lanka Foundation International. So they recognize Sri Lankans in various different fields. So I was one of the awardees during that ceremony, the Rising Star Award, for my NGO work, for my books as well.
Oh, so the whole thing, the whole package.
The whole package.
Nice.
I traveled in November, actually, of 2022 to Los Angeles to receive the award.
Oh, so it's very recent.
It was very recent, actually. It was a very humbling experience. I got to meet with a lot of different people, philanthropists, physicians, scientists, entertainers. And, that entire room filled with Sri Lankan talents and Sri Lankan minds felt so surreal to be in. So, alhamdulillah, I'm very grateful for the award, and I hope it's a stepping stone for the future as well.
Of course, inshallah. So the award is specifically for Sri Lanka related community service stuff and just people that do things outside of Sri Lanka.
For Sri Lankans around the world who have achieved anything in their field.
That's beautiful. So you got to meet a lot of people of your country doing great things.
Yeah.
I can only imagine how exciting that must have been. So you didn't only get this award, you got another one, which is the Mackenzie Award. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
Tell us about that as well.
So that was in 2022, I think. Yeah, that was also the Mackenzie and Company's Women's Achievement Award for Middle East. Again, for my NGO work and the books as well.
And so how did they discover your NGO? So this is broad, right? Not Sri Lankan specific.
No, this is broad. This is international. So somebody somebody who had come across my work and all had nominated me for the award. And that's how it came across. There was a nominating process. There was a shortlisting process. And by the end of it, I won it for Women's Achievement Award category in the Middle East.
And where was the awarding, you said?
That was during the summer of last year. So it was an e-award. So they had it like a conference online. And that's how they announced it.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mashallah, Zainab, with everything we covered, I think everyone can, agree that you've been doing amazing things. So I'm hoping, inshallah, that we'll see you achieving even more and more beautiful things in the future.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And you went through a journey, let's just say, with everything you've done and your NGO and everything you achieved in your books. You, when you do stuff like that, you get to meet a lot of people and you get to get help from a lot of great people along the way. So are there any specific names that you'd like to shout out?
Yes, definitely. Thank you for asking me that question, first of all. First of all thanks to God, and thank you to my parents for bringing me here. But some specific people that I have to mention here, and I wouldn't be doing justice if I'm not. The first one is Dr. Akif at Al Faisal, somebody who has been one of my biggest supporters, a mentor to me, has guided me since my first year till today. So a huge thanks to him for watching me grow and, contributing to that growth as well. The second person I wanted to thank was Dr. Ismail Shakir. He has honestly been like an elder brother to me. A very good friend and definitely a mentor. A lot of things I learned about leadership and project management came from Dr. Ismail. And of course, our dean, Dr. Khalid Al-Qattan. We're very lucky to have a dean like him, somebody who encourages the student body, who encourages the growth of MSA. So thank you to them. I want to specifically mention their names in this podcast.
Thank you so much, Zainab, for being on the podcast today. It was great having you here.
Thank you
we
so much.
Really appreciate the time you took out of your busy schedule as an intern and your NGO work and all of that to be here. Really appreciate it.
No, thank you so much for having me, actually. It was a pleasure.
Of course. This was our episode with Zainab. We hope you guys enjoyed it as much as we did. This episode was prepared by the scout, Hiba Raheel, and edited by the sound engineers Abdul Rahman Baqtayan and Maeen. And tune in for another episode.